So I'm sketching out my display design for my friend Made by Shay Cherie for a stand that she will be using when vending her products. I am not Picasso or an artist, so y'all gonna take what y'all get and don't get upset. Here I'm cutting down by 1x6 piece of lumber. Fun fact, it was actually a scrap piece of lumber from Home Depot. That's why it has the purple spray paint. Shout out to all my people that know. I decided that I'm going to use two 18-inch pieces for my slats that go across, and then I'm going to use two 22 inches for my stand piece. So here I'm cutting my stand piece. I always like to use the first piece that I cut as a guide to make sure that they are even. So now I have to cut the end pieces. You'll see my 18 and my 22. So now I'm going to work solely on my stand pieces because that is where bulk of my work will be done. So based on my research, which was literally YouTube and looking online, most designs had a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to move my miter saw from 0 to 45 degrees, and I am going to cut at an angle on my bottom pieces. One side would be flat and parallel with the table. The other side just provides kind of like more of an aesthetic look. So I use my set square to help, plan out my angles, and then to make sure it's the right width, I use a piece of the same size wood to come in and kind of just measure. Now I'm just getting started out here, so I do not have a workbench or workstation yet, so I'm just going to use my miter saw area to do my work, and I'm using my jigsaw to cut out the gap where I need my slats to fit through. So after I drill my two lines, I'm going to then do like a zigzag pattern to kind of get out the piece of wood that's stuck in there. At this time, I didn't have my Wood River tools yet, so I wasn't able to kind of just chip out the wood. I had to kind of get creative with it. I've done my first piece, and now I'm moving on to my second slats. Still cutting the wood together. Not really the smartest idea I had, but at least it was a way to kind of get the patterns to be even, so that I don't have to deal with like wobbliness and one side being higher than the other. So now we kind of come into a little bit of a problem. My jigsaw blades were not that great, so they started to bend a little bit. I guess I'm just going over and over in the wood. So my bottom piece did not come out as straight as I needed it to come out. So again, the wood wouldn't go all the way through. So here I'm just kind of using my set square to redo my line to get it exactly where I need it to be. So it takes a couple of passes through, and finally I get it as close as I'm gonna get it. Basically, I tried to do it one way and realized it wasn't gonna work. So I used this to draw a line that was equal here, and then like this to draw my other line here, and that's how it's in space. So now I'm back with the jigsaw, and I'm going to again use that zigzag pattern to cut out the pieces that I don't need, and then I'm going to try and get as straight as possible. Not the prettiest thing I've ever seen. So now I'm going to use my Wood River tools to clean this up and even it out. So first I start out with my Wood River rasp to even out the wood, and then I switch into my file to smoothen it out even along the sides as well. Now look at the final product compared to what I started with, much better. So now for the moment of truth, putting the pieces together to make sure everything looks good. The scrap pieces at the bottom I'm not really going to use. I'm just trying to make sure everything fits. All in all, I'm really satisfied with how it's coming out. Stay tuned for part 2 to see what happens next.